Alright guys, so with Spider-Man No Way Home coming out this next month, I of course was going to rewatch all the Spider-Man movies, and I want to re-review them. I reviewed them on this channel a long time ago. Um, every single one of them besides like the 70s one, which I still have not seen. I think that's a TV movie slash TV show. But I'm going to talk here about the essential Spider-Man movies that you've got to see before Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm not gonna rewatch the Avengers movies, even though I love those, or Captain America: Civil War, because they're not Spider-Man centric movies. And I say that, but I think I'm gonna review Venom again because I haven't watched that in a couple of years. But I have seen the Marvel movies so many times. I'm not gonna re-review those, but I'm definitely gonna review the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans, the Tom Holland ones, the first Venom, and Into the Spider-Verse. I feel like that's a good deal for upcoming for this new Spider-Man movie. But today, of course, I watched the original Spider-Man, which I have this really beautiful Blu-ray set that came out a couple years ago that Sony released, which has the first 5 movies. Again, love that artwork for both Spider-Mans. It's so beautiful. But uh, but I rewatched the original Spider-Man from 2002, which I fucking love. I rewatched this one, and I was genuinely not surprised. I genuinely love the fact that every time I watch this original movie, I love it even more. First off, Danny Elfman's score is incredible. It is the most memorable Spider-Man score, main theme. Even though I love scores for all the Spider-Man movies, I love the music for The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I love the main theme for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but this one is hands down the most memorable and the one that's going to be known in history forever. Like, this one is truly a fantastic score. Danny Elfman, it's so cool that he had this kind of score because Sam Raimi directed this movie, who also worked with Danny Elfman on Darkman, which is another superhero movie, but it's more darker than this. And, oh, sorry, camera went down a little bit. You can tell how professional I am. But this one is directed, like I said, by Sam Raimi, and he worked with Danny Elfman on Darkman, which is a really fun movie. I really enjoy Darkman as well. I love how the first 3 Spider-Man movies, the Sam Raimi ones, have opening credits, because after that, no other Spider-Man movie has opening credits. The Amazing Spider-Man ones don't. The Tom Holland ones don't. So it's very interesting the fact that this original trilogy is really a different style and aesthetic to the other ones. I really like that Tobey Maguire plays Peter Parker as a really good sad nerd. And it's weird to say because Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland, both in their roles, never really felt like nerds, like stereotypical nerds. They felt like outcasts, but not nerds. In this one, Tobey Maguire is a total nerd. He's a total outcast. He acts he acts so nerdy that you feel sorry for him. You feel sympathy for him. That he wants the girl next door, Mary Jane. I love the fact that Peter Parker is such a great character in this, and the fact that his friends Harry and MJ, Mary Jane Watson, they both, all 3 of them, have a fantastic story in this first movie, and they have a complete arc in this first movie. And I love the fact that after the original Spider-Man trilogy, all the other movies don't really feel like they are as sharp and as well written as these first 2 Sam Raimi movies. This is a very tight movie, and I really am genuinely surprised at how, thinking back on all the other Spider-Man movies after the first 2 Spider-Man movies, they all, for some reason, are never as tight in terms of screenwriting as these first 2. Spider-Man 3 had the issue of being Sony meddling into bringing in Venom, blah, 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 and all that stuff to make that movie not as tight as the first 2 Spider-Man movies. But every other movie after this trilogy really felt like it didn't have a complete tightness in the script and script writing, because this one genuinely surprises me at how well done and how edited and how well made this one is. Again, I love the story arcs of these characters. I love the fact that Harry Osborn is introduced in this, and he has a father, Norman Osborn, Willem Dafoe, who Harry is embarrassed by. And I love the fact that that plays so well between all three of these characters, between Harry, MJ, and Peter, where Harry's embarrassed of his dad. And then after Uncle Ben dies, Norman takes Peter in as a surrogate son, while MJ starts to hate him because of how mean he treats him, or he treats her. Uh, so I really like how Norman Osborn is the full connective tissue of all three of these characters, and he's a villain that connects to all three of them in a way where it feels very natural. Like it's just written very well. I like how MJ is a character that she's from a broken home, and she's this character she is a damsel, but I think that they do a great job, especially because Kristen Dunst is so fantastic in this. They do a great job of having this character be interesting and also be a character that in all three of these Sam Raimi movies is kind of unlikable in points, but it's because you understand where she's coming from with how Harry treats her, with how Peter Parker, they love each other, but Peter Parker won't give her back that love because he's afraid that Spider-Man makes enemies. And I just love how all three of these main characters they really do have a great arc in this first movie, and I really genuinely love all three of them, and Norman Osborn is the villain. I liked Cliff Robertson as Uncle Ben, and Aunt May, Rosemary Harris. Like, I love these two actors, and they're so nice and sweet and charming. And I love everybody says, I love the line that Uncle Ben says, where the man you are becoming right now is the man you're going to destined to become the rest of your life. And I paraphrase that, but it's very similar to that line. But I love that. I also wanted to say too, going back to Peter, Harry, and MJ, I like that there's a love triangle too. So it really builds tension to these characters, but these characters really feel real. And they really genuinely work because they are just so well written in this movie. And I'm genuinely always surprised watching the first Spider-Man how these characters and the tightness of the script just really, really work very well. I like that Uncle Ben dies because of Peter being neglectful, so it really gives Peter the urge to become a hero, and that just works so well. And I know they redid that in The Amazing Spider-Man. It wasn't done as well, even though I liked it in that, but this one I think really gave a good, sad death for Uncle Ben. I like how Bruce Campbell cameos in this. Of course, he cameos in all three of the Sam Raimi films because, of course, he was in the Evil Dead movies that Sam Raimi directed. And in this, he is the announcer at a wrestling ring, and he's really funny. I like how he's the one that gives Spider-Man his name, or Peter Parker gives Peter Parker's name Spider-Man. That's really funny. I like how Ted Raimi cameos. Ted Raimi usually cameos in all of the Sam Raimi movies. J.K. Simmons, what can you say? J.K. Simmons is back in the new Spider-Man, No Way Home, so it's great to see him back again. I like all the people in the Daily Bugle. I like Betty Brant, Elizabeth Banks, who's awesome, and this is one of her roles that I really forget that she's in. And then I like the Robbie guy as well. He's really nice, and he gets more in the second one than this one. And also Octavia Spencer is in the wrestling ring, like the person who you sign up with. I thought that was funny that she's in this because Octavia Spencer has done so many great things since then, and it's funny to see her just in this role and like for quick like one scene in a long time ago. It's funny to see actors be in stuff that you just forget about. I like how. Oh, and I also like Macho Man Randy Savage. He's hilarious in this one scene. Like I said, they do a great job. Sam Raimi does a great job with actors and characters where they have one scene in the movie, but they're so memorable. Like Macho Man Randy Savage, his lines are so funny. Like for 3 minutes, it's meat time, like that. Like lines like that are great. And there is a meme that just appeared recently where. You know how the lizard is getting hit by something and it's edited out of the trailer for No Way Home, something. I'm assuming Andrew Garfield. But there's a picture of Randy Savage using a chair and batting the lizard where his head gets smashed back. That's great, and I genuinely think that's hilarious. This movie also does the Superman story where the original Superman, Christopher Reeve, Richard Donner Superman, is kind of a template for a lot of these movies because there's always the movies in in the superhero genre where it is the hero is just the same as the villain. And there's some movies that do that fantastically, and some movies that do it where it's just kind of annoying. But this one is one of the best examples, with Norman and Peter becoming the hero and the villain at the same time. I really genuinely love it. I think it works very, very well because, again, these characters are so well written and so interesting that it builds up both the hero and the villain at the same time in a really great way. And there's some Spider-Man movies where it's like the villains don't get enough time to really be built up and established, like Spider-Man 3 or Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's like they have so much in the movies that it's like they cram a lot in there that they're not going to have the movie be as tight. And this one is definitely the best example of being the tightest script. I love, there are so many iconic moments of how this movie looks that just stick in my mind, particularly with Peter and MJ flying through the city. Love that. Whenever they're kissing in the rain. The shots of the Green Goblin, who looks really cool. And I know that's not comic accurate, that it's this like Power Ranger looking suit, but I don't know much about the comics. I've read a couple Spider-Man comics, but not enough to where I'm like, blasphemy, this isn't the same as the comics. And I try not to be that way because it's a different medium. Film is a different medium than comics, but I really love moments like that. And Willem Dafoe is one of the best. It's hard to say if he's the best villain because Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, holy shit, is just so good. I don't know. And Michael Keaton as the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, really fantastic as well. But he's a fantastic villain. The ending climax on the bridge where he has MJ and he has a group of people on the whatever you call that thing. Is it a monorail? Not a monorail, but it's the thing that they're on that's like going up in the air. But Peter's got the choice to save MJ and all the people in that thing, and he saves both. And it's great with the fact that Spider-Man has been intimidated by the Green Goblin throughout this movie, where Norman Osborn says to him, like, eventually they will hate you. Like, you're going to not have these people like you anymore. And that's so true. As a superhero, they're not going to eventually be loved. And I like that this first movie really delved into that. And I loved how the ending with Harry and MJ and their arcs are great, with the fact that Norman is killed inadvertently on purpose or on accident by trying to kill Spider-Man, gets impaled by his glider, which is great scene. But whenever Peter goes and drops Norman off, who tells Peter, don't tell Harry that he was the Goblin, Harry gets really furious, like, what have you done? And James Franco really is good in this as well. I haven't mentioned him by name, but he's great in this as well, in all three of them, honestly. But I love that it ends with Harry seeing Spider-Man brought his dead dad to him, and he was out for revenge now. And the fact that the movie ends in a fantastic, one of my favorite scenes in any superhero movie, in any movie, where Peter and MJ embrace. MJ is telling Peter, like, I love you, like, whenever I was going to die, you're the person I thought of. And I love the fact that through this whole movie, Peter Parker has been in love with Mary Jane, and then the look on Tobey Maguire's face in terms of acting, and on Kirsten Dunst's face whenever they're acting, whenever she says she loves him, she kisses him, and then the look that Peter gives, like, I can't tell her that I love her, but I love her. And he doesn't want to tell her because he could lose her, like he almost did on the bridge. And that moment between both of those actors is so genuinely heartbreaking and such a fantastic scene to watch. I love whenever they both, like when Peter turns away to saying at the beginning of the movie, like, this is not a happy story. This is not a happy story for like a normal happy story. I don't get the girl. And he doesn't in this movie. And I love the fact that he turns around and walks away, then MJ puts her hand on her lips and just goes, like, she knows, like, Like she knows that Peter is Spider-Man now, but she isn't saying it. And of course, Spider-Man 2, it's revealed later that she realizes completely in Spider-Man 2, but in this one she doesn't know, but she really heavily thinks that it's him. And it's a great moment, just a great final moment of the film, and I really genuinely love that. Oh, God, sorry, I keep moving this camera. I keep moving the table, and like this new stand I've got this phone on gets messing up. But yeah, Spider-Man the original. Everything I've said about it, truly incredible. I love almost all the Spider-Man movies, even if they have problems. This one is one that has the least, definitely. It does feel a tad dated uh, compared to all the other Spider-Man movies. It definitely looks like it's from 2002. It's got some CG that's a little shoddy, but I still genuinely love it. I think it's fantastically acted and very, very well scripted and very well done with great action sequences. It's one of the first big boom superhero movies um, in the Marvel like in the Marvel films, with the Marvel films being released, because we had Blade, which was good, but it wasn't one that was for all audiences. And then you had X-Men, which is good, but then Spider-Man felt like the first one that like kind of related to all audiences. Like it felt like it was more of a blockbuster than those ones, even though I do like X-Men and Blade. But it's definitely the first big boom one of the 2000s, and the Marvel big boom. Like there weren't any other Marvel movies that made any impression until, like I said, Blade and X-Men and Spider-Man. But genuinely love the first one. Can't There's so much more. There's so much I could say about it. I really love everything about the original Spider-Man. I'm so glad I got to rewatch it again. Like I said, I'm going to rewatch all the Tobey Maguire ones, the Andrew Garfield ones, the Tom Holland ones, Venom and Spider-Verse, before the new ones. So here's to Spider-Man 2 review coming up after this, which is considered by many to be one of the absolute best Spider-Man movies. And I genuinely love it as well. I can't wait to rewatch that one. But yeah, that is it for today, and I will see you guys in the next review. Take care.